What's up, everybody? Tiffany Outdoors here today. I want to tell you about the scariest moment that I've had in forever. Very long time. Let me show you. There's the hawk. Before there was a Tiffany Outdoors, there was Tiffany the Farmer.
On a U-turn when possible.
No, we're not U-turning.
Hi. Hi, what are you doing? Hi, Boo.
What? Alright. There's this burn pile. It had gotten too big. I know it had gotten too big, I know. So I went on ahead and burned it. It's very, very large. It's possibly about 20 feet. 20 feet in diameter at least. And it was piled up high. And I should have never let it get that big, but I burned it, controlled it for several hours, and I also wet all around here. I wet all around. You see, there's nothing burned. I wet all around here just to keep it from jumping, but there's a but. It did jump. It jumped right over that wetness. And this has been some weeks ago. It's not quite as fresh, but I can still see where it's been burned. See how well it shows up on camera. It went all the way to the property line. All that is burned. Let's walk so you can see how far it is. Yeah, you can see the scorch compared to the normal grass. All that's burned too. All of that's burned. Almost to the pear trees. It burned half of the round pen. Half of that's burned. And this is a 60-foot round pen. So at least 30 feet have been burned. I gotta close these gates. That sounds creepy. All this is burned. And that's where it stops on this side. But then it continued to burn all here. All that's burned. It looks light, but it's burned. All of that is burned. And then went here. This is my property line, and then it burned across the property line. It's all that is burned. Pull you guys in close. All that's burned. All that's burned. So that's at least 6-8 feet from the property line. All this is burned. All this is burned. There's a nice cat. Don't know where that cat came from, but all this is burned. Let me turn the camera around and talk to you guys a bit about this. Oh, yeah. All this is burned. All this is burned up here. Almost got to my firewood there. Well, not really firewood. Firewood that I use for bonfires. Fire pit. All of this is burned. We got to stop here. That's the edge of it. I've never been more terrified in my life. Oh, and back to this board here. More about that board in a minute. So what happened was the fire apparently got away from me. I had my phone, so I called Joe. I called her many times, 6 times in a row. No answer. She's right in the house. I didn't feel like I had enough time to run in the house to go get her and run back out because this fire was moving fast, and it was moving in 3 different directions all at the same time. So it was going that way, and this way all at the same time. I was running, stomping it out with my feet the best I can, and then I got the water hose, and then the water hose didn't reach out far enough. It got out of reach of the water hose like in seconds. It was just took off. And so as it got to the property line in the back, as it got back there where that board was, I ran to the workshop, got a board, and I figured I could use that board to flatten and squash the fire out with a larger surface than just my foot. That wasn't working, so I had the pitchfork. I was raking the leaves back onto my side of the property, and oh my gosh, y'all, it was at that point that I knew that I needed more help. It was just me out there, so I dialed 911. The fire wasn't big, it was small. The flames were small, like really tiny flames. They weren't that tall. I mean, it was just going so fast. And right after I dialed 911, I was just about got it under control. It was getting there. I was getting it back in control. My neighbors, Mick and Diane, they were driving up from feeding their horses. And thank God for them. Thank God for them. I said, Mick, do you have a water hose that can reach? So he yelled to his wife to turn on the water. They got some buckets out, so we're filling up buckets. So I got that little tiny purple bucket over there. Desperate, y'all. Desperation. I think that's like a 1 or 2 gallon bucket. So ran and got that. And then Mick and his wife had 5 gallon buckets, which were awesome. And at that point, Joe had come out, and she goes, oh my God. So she come out. She was stomping out the fire on that far side. She was taking care of that. Mick was taking care of the fire that was heading towards their house, which was why I was so terrified, y'all. So he had his water hose, and it reached right there into the round pen, so his wife took care of that. And they were running back and forth to my water hose, which reached right about there, filling up the 5 gallon and that 1 or 2 gallon bucket that I had, and I was just pouring water on the fire. And then Joe finished putting that side out, and then she came to this side and started working on this side. So we had just about got it all put out. We had it all put out by the time the fire department got here, and this was a matter of minutes. It was probably less than 5 minutes. The fire department is really close. The fire department is probably about 3 minutes away. So in between me making the call and them getting here was probably about 5 minutes. The exhaustion, the smoke inhalation that I experienced was none that I ever want to happen to me again. That was terrifying. The fire guy, the firefighters that came were part of the volunteer fire department, so my hat's off to them. So they came, they finished putting out the main bonfire. They finished putting that out. Probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gallons of water they poured on that thing. Put that out for me. And of course they sprayed everything along the back fence line that was on the property line back there. They sprayed that really well too. I had inhaled so much smoke. I was so exhausted. I was just leaning on my pitchfork. He asked me several times, "Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm okay. I just inhaled a lot of smoke and I ran a lot." I haven't run that much since I was in the Army. And my mouth, the back of my throat was all super red and irritated. I could breathe fine, so I didn't go to the doctor or anything. I told myself if I start having difficulty breathing or anything like that, anything that was just not right, I would have definitely went to the doctor. But the next day my throat was fine. I wasn't scratchy or nothing. The redness had gone away. It was just absolutely terrifying. I don't think I've ever had to dial 911 in my whole life. Yeah, that was scary. So that's a huge lesson to me, to not let that burn pile get that large. My dad told me he was worried about that bonfire being so big. He said he was worried about it, and he had every right to be. Joe was too. She was worried. But tough tiff. I got it. I didn't have it at all. So that would be a huge lesson to me. So going forward, what I'm going to do is get longer water hoses, get an even longer water hose. I'll probably add another 100 or 200 feet of water hose, just in case something like that ever happens again. And also have buckets filled with water, 5-gallon buckets filled with water that are close by before I even start. I'll probably fill up 5 or 6 5-gallon buckets of water just to make sure that we have extra buckets of water on hand in case something like that happens again. But yeah, that was the scariest part of my life and why I had to dial 911. Or felt like I needed to dial 911. I made a rat call in doing that. So, y'all be safe out there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.